Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. So on CookieCast, it's the darkest timeline. Just little old me today, talking about, me stuff. Why following the rules are important. Technology and why it's great. Football, not a subject I'm often talking about. We have a football podcast. I don't need to talk football, but apparently I decided I did. And getting some rest. And what that actually looks like. We've got TV and computer games. No movie at the moment. Got a backlog in the movie world, but they'll return. Don't worry. Before we get started, please consider like, share, subscribe, and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. Share the podcast around. Go on, I dare you. Right, let's get started. Here we go. This is CookieCast, the darkest timeline. Oh, I had to surprise myself. I was getting a little bit wild up in here. That's not a great way to start, is it? How you doing? Are you well? Are you good? How's your day? How's your week? How's your life treating you? As always, you know the drill by now. If you're having a good time and you're feeling good and everything's great, I'm super happy for you. If you're not doing too well, if things aren't so great, you're not having the best of times, reach out to us here at the podcast. And if you don't feel like reaching out to strangers on the internet, reach out to somebody else, friend, family. There are services out there that you can reach out to. Just reach out and just say, I'm not having the best of times. We encourage you here at the podcast to reach out to us because, as I say, we'd rather you reached out than not. So please do. As 355 episodes of this podcast will tell you, I'm more than happy to talk to you. More than happy to talk to you. We'll talk about anything you want. And we'll start off with this one this week. We can happily talk about why it's important to follow the rules. I am under no illusions how I get viewed in certain situations. I am very much a stickler for the rules, sticking to the rules, following the rules, etc. And I know I can already name a series of people who be like, all the rules. Like, yes, I know, I get it. But the majority of the time, rules is rules. Comes back to bite you when your children turn it against you. You're like, well, that rule we're not going to follow right now, obviously, and so on and so forth. But general rule of thumb, follow the rules. And then there are those rules that are open to interpretation. But somebody would say to me, why is it such a big deal? Why do you care? Why do you care? Why is it such a big deal? What's the problem? Why is it an issue? And so on. As I said to somebody the other day, why is it such a big deal? Why is it a thing? Well, because it really fucking hurts when you get hit by a bike. And as I'm sure you can imagine, I wasn't running down the cycle path or the road. No. I was running down the pavement, where the people are supposed to be, next to the road that has the cycle path on. Funny how that might come about. Last Tuesday, I was out for the big run. Just ticked over the first mile. And weirdly one of those, feeling fine. It was very much one of those runs that was just going to be part of my day, just something I had to get done and get out of the way so I could move on with the rest of my day, which was shaping up to be Billy bullshit. So, just get it done. Just get it in the books. get the steps, get the run, get the whatever. All of the cliche things you can say about getting a run done. I'm out there, and I've got a mile in, and it's fine. And as I come, not necessarily round a corner, just I'm going down a hill, and like sort of drifting, not round a corner, just drifting across a corner to cross a road, where there is a house that has a high fence, so high you can't see round the corner. But as realistically, the only object you would have to deal with would be somebody walking in either the same direction you're running or the opposite direction. You've got plenty of time to react. Plenty of time to react. However, somebody riding a bike at you, full force, which hits you square, full force, where you have to spend the rest of the time assessing whether you've got 2 broken fingers, when you've taken a bike wheel full force to the shin, whether you're trying to work out if you've torn muscle in back, shoulder, etc. It hurts. I don't know, I didn't think I'd broken a couple of fingers, but for a while I did wonder. I was like, I imagine I'm going to get home, take my gloves off, and found 2 severely bruised fingers and be on my way to A&E. Completely unnecessary, completely uncalled for, completely out of the realms of it being okay, because it wasn't okay, because it was unnecessary. This was one of those situations where somebody had chosen to ride on the pavement when they didn't need to. They were on a road that, yes, it can be busy, it can get busy, but they were coming off a road that never has any vehicles on it onto a road that can be busy but wasn't at that point in time. It was completely unnecessary. So what happened? Well, the worst bit of it was that I would have been okay. I'd have shaken it off, and I'd have been like, well, that's fucking stupid, and that's something I could have done without in my day. And that is just annoying, because, this is the new me, the one that doesn't get angry about things. And I would have been fine. I would have been okay. The person knew. They knew instantly, clearly. Look on their face said everything. They knew they were in the wrong, because they were in the wrong. There was absolutely no reason. It was uncalled for, and they'd made a series of wrong decisions. Riding on the pavement being one, coming round a corner at speed being the other, and it was all unnecessary. They could have gone on the road and it wouldn't have affected anything. There's an element of it. It was more to do with laziness than anything else. They weren't achieving anything. So, rightly so, they apologized. They said sorry. And I was like, yeah, it wasn't ideal. They had the weird, like, handlebars that you could hold in like 12 different places. That's what hurt my hand. Because I grabbed the handlebars and had essentially punched all of this contraption, all of this metal. Because like I say, when you get hit by something at speed, it hurts. So they said sorry, and I was a bit like, whatever. And then they said sorry. And I was like, Oh. And then they said sorry and sorry and sorry and sorry and sorry and sorry and sorry. And then they said, no, I'm sorry. I just kept saying it. They must have said that they were sorry 30 times in the space of 10 seconds. The first 10 times I was like, yeah, okay, fine, I get it. The 10 times after that, I was like, okay, now you're annoying me, because you're really drawing out the fact that you were in the wrong. It shouldn't have happened. You shouldn't have been in a position to do it. Now we're entering into, actually, we both know the situation here, but I was still in the shrug it off, move on with your life, no big deal, blah blah blah. By, like I say, the 30th sorry, they really, really wanted me to know that they were sorry. I was like, nah, this is not okay. And if they'd have just gone, look, mate, I'm really sorry. I'm completely in the wrong. I apologise. Sorry. I won't do it again, because let's not forget, an apology is 2 parts. I'd have been like, just whatever, and I'd have gone about my day. The incessant apologising is, no, you know you've done something wrong. You know you're in the wrong, and we've now gone past that. So that made me angry. So I then had to sort of move out of the way. I had to move out of the way because they clearly weren't going to. And sort of go about my day. And I'm not, I was going to say I'm not too ashamed. I'm not too ashamed, but I had to utter a warning, shall we say, which I wouldn't have done if they'd have just said, I'm sorry, mate. I shouldn't have happened. I'm real sorry. And off I went on my merry way. I say merry. I was in a lot of pain, and I had 2.5 miles left to run. So there was that. But I guess, at that point, it was a little bit along the lines of, I just kind of got to get on with it. And away I went. It could have been worse. Could have been a lot worse. Could have been a lot worse. But admittedly, was one of those. What made it worse was when I was like, I text Leanne and I was like, you know what really hurts? Getting hit full force by a bike. She was like, all right. I was like, yeah. She was like, oh, is the cyclist all right? I was like, cool. There we go. That tells you everything you need to know about that. The past week saw a return to the, unfortunately, in some ways, saw the return to a 2-day fasting system, Wednesday, Sunday. Yeah, your boy has got a little bit out of control with some stuff. And it was time to dial a few things in, so getting back to the regular scheduled programming, but a little helping hand from an additional day of fasting. I will reveal the results of that. It wasn't super easy. There's a couple of points in it. I caught myself nearly like going for something to eat. I was like, whoa. And there was this kind of, oh, maybe I can have something for tea, and I've fasted all day, so that kind of thing. I had a conversation. Leanne was like, oh, did you end up having something in the end? And I was like, I didn't, because I was like, what was the point in fasting all day to then just end up ruining it at night? And like I say, a couple of things were a little bit out of control. You can eat a shit ton of protein, but when the ton side of it affects things like getting on the scales the next day, a lot of protein, it's probably quite heavy, etc. So yeah. I feel like once every 6 months, I end up writing this on a list for a podcast, and it's the statement "fucking technology." Technology's great. We all love it. It's wonderful. It does so many wonderful things for us. Apart from anything you actually want it to do, that seems to be a bit of a constant across the board. So I had this thing over the course of it. I've been using a new app for working out, and for a lot of things. I really like it. I really love it. It's great. And on this particular day, I was using it, and it was just like, you finished working out, yeah? It's like, no, I am 2/3 of the way through my workout. And it was like, you're done. Let me get that saved up for you. I was like, don't do that because I'm not finished. It was like, okay, I won't save it then. Right. Cool. That's great. Thanks for that. That's a lot of fun. It's like, no worries. You want to start a new workout? Cool. Okay, then you're doing this exercise number 1. I was like, no, I've done all of those. Can I do exercise number 5, please? Sure. You want to do exercise 5 and 6? Let's go. I was like, cool. I was like, exercise 5, done. Exercise 6, done. Exercise 1. I was like, no, I've done those. And the app was like, I don't know what you mean. I was like, cool. That's great. Thanks for that. This was the same day. My work laptop, I'm working away. And my work laptop was like, I need to do an update. I'm going to do it now. Cool. And just complete. Like, you know, when you tell your computer to do an update, it just did that in the middle of a working day, in the middle of me doing something. It was like, I'm going to do an update now. It's like, you're not allowed to do that. That's not okay. It was like, yeah, all that work you're doing, that's gone. Right. Cool. Thanks. Yesterday, my watch was like, are you tracking the numbers today? Like, yeah, like every day. It's like, I don't really want to do that, so I'm not going to. I was like, let's not be silly now. Let's keep those numbers tracking, because, you know, it's going to look weird if, like, today is just the day that I don't, you know, get the numbers in. It's like, I don't want to. Okay, that's not going to work for me. So, you know, turn it off, turn it back on. Everybody's favourite. Turn it off, turn it back on. And it's like, I'm working now. Like, cool. It is the middle of the day and you've done basically fuck all day. So you better be getting them numbers logged, cause fuck you. I then today found that my workout app on my watch has got all these new and interesting symbols that have been added to them, and I'm like, okay, that's interesting. What do those symbols mean? And it's like, we're not going to tell you. Like, cool. That's fun. And then just before putting the computer on to do this podcast, my computer was like, turn on, you say? No, I don't know what that is. In fact, let me go away and think about it. I'll be right back. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Technology is great. Technology is wonderful. Technology is brilliant. It's a technological marvel, a technological wonder. It just doesn't ever do what you want it to do. You know, like work. But it's okay, because AI is going to save everything. AI is going to save us all, and we're going to put absolutely everything into AI when everybody has categorically said they don't want that. So, yeah, good times. I'll try that one again. Took my son to football yesterday. It was new football. Jesus fucking Christ. It was new football. What we have referred to as big boy football. My son has been in his football class, group, whatever, for 18 months. He was a giant amongst men by the time he sort of left that group. It was a bit like, dude, you are a clear foot taller than anyone else in your group. I wonder if you'll ever get moved up. I think that it just got a little embarrassing. So they were like, we're going to move him up. Okay. Then he's had quite a few weeks off with various different ailments. And then typically at the point in time that he was ready to go back, they have a break every few weeks. So yesterday, week 1, and I'm saying to Leanne, I'm like, look, I think it's probably going to be a little more hands off from the parenting side of things. She was like, you can't leave him. I was like, I'm not going to leave him, but I imagine, like when kids move up in like swimming lessons, there's going to be a lot less parent interaction and a lot more expecting them to be able to do it themselves. So I'm not going to abandon him, but I imagine there will be an expectation to not be holding his hand quite literally through the whole thing. So I just don't leave him. I'm like, I'll just play it by ear, okay? So we go and we get there, and I'm like, yep. All of the parents lined up at the fence, barring 3 parents. I heard one of the parents saying to another parent that it was their child's first ever football lesson. I'm like, that makes sense. And then you've got, I don't know how to say this any other way than just calling it what it is. You've got the crying child, or the crying children, who are essentially the ones that have their parents holding their hands. Every sort of organised thing has that child, and ultimately you just hope it's not yours. And I can say from experience, sometimes it is. And you're just going to ride it. You're going to ride that one out. So I'm like, oh no, this is really going to set the tone for this one, because I don't want to be that parent. I don't want to be the parent that's over there holding hands with all the other parents judging. Obviously not, but you know. And honestly, I feel this sets the tone for me and him. So I was like, I'm just gonna see what happens. So they're like, okay, we're gonna do a warm up. Everybody score a goal, and then we're gonna start the warm up. And over he goes, and I stand halfway between the parents and the kids. I was like, this is okay, because if he is suddenly like, whoa, hang on a minute, what are you doing over there? Then I can be like, it's all right, mate, I'm still here, I'm still with you. But if he doesn't care, then I can back away slowly. So instantly he's looking around. He's like, where are you? And he sees me straight away, and I'm like, I wave, and he's like, oh, you're there. Okay. And they're like, right, go and start doing your running around. And off he goes, and he's running around, laughing, having a whale of a time. I'm like, I guess he didn't need me. Now, what I will say is this. What was good was the warm-up, exactly the same as the younger class. Exactly the same thing. And then they did some drills, which were very similar. And the teachers were obviously very clear with him. So off he went, and he wasn't exactly the quickest one at doing it, but he's quite meticulous in a way. He likes to, take the ball steady. He doesn't want it running away from him. He likes to keep it under control and other such excuses. And it just takes him a little while to do it. I'm always like, get laid out, mate. And a couple of times, like the sort of the teachers had checked to see if they needed him to go with them, and he was a bit like, not really. And he just got on with it. And I'm like, take a step back, take a step back, take a step back. Next thing, I'm stood at the fence with all the other parents, or the majority of the other parents, and he's over there doing it. And I'm like, oh, I guess I just stand here now, and Like, this was one of the things I'd like turned my watch off because I was like, oh, on a Sunday, I log it as like an exercise because I'm running around the football pitch thing with him and doing all the exercises and getting a few extra steps in, and I don't really feel like I can get anything from this just standing here watching. So I turned my watch off, and my watch was like, hey, it's fine, I didn't log anything anyway. And I'm like, fuck you. And that was that. And then at the end, they ask you to go and do some race things, and over I go and I join in the race and we do some races, and then it's over, and I'm like, okay, I guess that's football now. And there's that part of you where you're like, oh, and I said to him, I was like, you did really well there, mate. I was really impressed. I was so impressed watching you. You did so good, and oh, buddy, you did so well, and all this, whilst simultaneously being like, and you didn't need me, and it's fine. And it's like, it's a good thing, obviously it's a good thing. It's a good thing that they don't need you and that sort of stuff, and independent and all this. But all I could see was 10 years more. That was the other thing. It was raining sideways. It wasn't raining when we got there. It was sunny. I had my sunglasses on. But yeah, raining sideways. So standing whilst it's raining sideways, watching my son play football, going, here's the next 12 to 14 years. Cool. I've decided, as a way to improve my life, something that's been coming up a lot recently is I need to get more sleep. My new workout app has a lot of different features. One of those features is it tells you, it gives you some sleep score stuff. I was in debt, sleep debt, by 10 and a quarter hours last week. And I went, yeah. And then I get Arnold Schwarzenegger's daily email. He likes to talk a lot about sleep, and your weightlifters, your bodybuilders, your health fitness professionals, every single one of them is talking about sleep, getting your 8 hours. You listen to your Hubermans and people like that. It's all about getting 8 hours. I talk to friends and stuff, people who I've sort of worked out with for years and stuff like that. It's like, oh, your body needs to rest so it can recover, so it can build muscle, so it can do all of those good things. So I was like, right, I'm going to make an effort. And if that effort is literally just going to bed half an hour earlier, it's a start. And surely I will feel the benefit of going to bed half an hour earlier. I'm going to start. So this time last week, I already had it in mind that I was going to start last Monday. Because Monday is a good one, because I can podcast. This podcast will probably take me up to bedtime, if I'm honest. By the time I've finished this conversation, by the time I've coded and uploaded, got it all sorted and ready to go, I might get a little bit of game time sort of thing. I might not, depending. And then it's bedtime. So I was like, look, if I just do that last week, I can just finish up and go to bed. Simple. Day one didn't go quite according to plan. At the point in time I was going to go to bed, I didn't, and I got a little caught up with, important things, like watching YouTube videos. And next thing, it was half an hour later than I would normally go to bed. And as I've said before in the past, some days you just have to chalk them off. Some days you do really well all day, and then you get angry at the end of the day, and it's like, okay, well, tomorrow has to be better. And some days you intend to go to bed half an hour earlier, and you go to bed half an hour later. And you have to think, I'll just do better tomorrow. So Tuesday rolled round. You already know. I can't hide things from you guys. You know me too well by now. Tuesday rolls round, and half an hour later, because Wednesday's going to be a great day. with half an hour less sleep, because that's right, first day of the week getting up nice and early, and a full day looking after children. What's also nice about Wednesday is heavy podcasting day on Wednesday. There's a lot of podcasts to do. So I received a podcast at 11:15 Wednesday night. I'll tell you this for a fact, here and now. The quickest, absolute quickest, end-to-end you can do a podcast, or I can do a podcast, is an hour. Because of a variety of different factors. Coding video takes a long time. Uploading video takes a long time. Doing all the various jobs takes a long time. When you forget to turn off one of the audio channels and end up with people sounding like robots underwater, after you've uploaded it to the internet and you have to delete it and redo the video, it takes a long time. Half an hour later than intended. Thursday. Well, Thursday is my absolute worst day of the week for feeling tired. It's a late night on a Wednesday. It's an early start on a Thursday. It's a day in the office. By 10 o'clock, I'm ready for bed. And I mean AM. 3 o'clock in the afternoon, if I compass you are, something's gone wrong. So Thursday, I'm like, well, I don't have to worry about going to bed tonight, because ultimately I've just got to get home, get sorted, get ready, and go to bed, because late night, late morning, early morning, whatever, it'll be fine. Ironically, I don't even know if that's the right way to sort of word it. Come bedtime, I was wide awake. Went to bed late. I have gone to bed later this last week. I have gone to bed later every day than any other time. Some of the latest bedtimes I've had have been in the last week. That is surely just, I don't know, sod's law. What's Murphy's Law? Murphy's Law. Hang on. Now I think I'm going to have to. Now I think I've said. Hang on. Wait. I have a. Isn't Murphy's Law? It's right there. Well, there you go. Murphy's Law is the adage that anything that can go wrong will go wrong. See? Not just a pretty face. I think that works. Yeah. Not gonna lie. All this talk about sleep's making me yawn. So, it's a new week. I'm sure I can make. I'm ahead by the numbers, because even if it's an hour now, it still makes it before bedtime. But I'm not finished, so let's crack on. Do you know one of the things that I think is? I have to be careful how I word this. One of the things that I find interesting is that we went through a period of time where anti-vaxxers appeared. And I think nowadays you can basically be against pretty much anything and everything, and it's kind of normal. It's kind of a thing. It's kind of I'm against this, and it's like, okay, flat earthers, conspiracy theorists. I'm a conspiracy theorist. Or another way to look at it is realist. You decide. So you've got the flat earthers, people like that, these sort of extreme sort of whatever. Do you remember the Matrix people? The people that watched the Matrix and believed it? Like, we're living in the Matrix. There's the cult of Ned Flanders, a personal favourite, and so on and so forth. One of the things that came up was the anti-vaxxers, and the reason that people were, at least what I believe is the reason that people were against the vaccines of varying different types and kinds, was because of autism. somebody, I don't know who, decided that the vaccines that you get given cause autism, cause children to be autistic on a variety of different ways, shapes, means, and whatever. When you look at the science, there's a lot of science that goes, okay, we have 17 times more vaccinations now than we did in the 80s, let's say. An argument would be there's probably more stuff that could probably kill you. Or we're all trying to give everybody autism. You decide. I quite happily sit on the fence on this one. I'm sure there's some scientific stuff out there that would suggest look at the numbers, and then there's the kind of people that you talk to that are that way, and you think, yeah. So, I had a conversation with an anti-vaxxer once. Yeah, I mean, they make some compelling points. Anyway, why have I brought up a controversial topic? Well, I'll tell you. My son went for his vaccinations. I'm not even sure which ones they are. They have them at various points in time. They have a lot when they're a baby. They have some when they're little, and then they get progressively further spaced out. And he was just due a set. My favourite were the ones that he was a particular age during the COVID era, as we can call it nowadays, and needed to have a certain vaccination at a certain point in time. And they were like, yeah, it's fine. He can wait 6 months because, we haven't got any. So, yeah. My son goes off for his vaccinations. And his nana took him. Both me and Len are working. Simple as that. I pick him up from nana's, and I'm like, oh, not the child I was expecting to pick up. What I expected to pick up was a rather sullen, somebody hurt me, and I've not recovered from it. And what instead I picked up was a giant ball of energy that was bouncing off the walls. And I was like, this is not what I was expecting to walk into right now. I'm not going to lie. So I was like, how was your day? Fine. How was your vaccination? Fine. Did you cry? I didn't cry at the time, but I did cry later. I'm like, well, I already knew that, but it's good that you can sort of understand that and get that across. Since then, 4 days later, 4 days? 3 days later, I'm like, all these people that talk about, that they don't want their children having the vaccine because it gives you autism. I'm like, I'm pretty sure we got the one that gives you autism and ADHD, because holy fucking shitballs, I have a different child. I do not consider myself to be an anti-vaxxer. I consider myself to be somebody who goes, yeah, you've kind of got a point there. And that's about it. I sit on the fence. Like a lot of subjects, I sit on the fence. He is a different child. This is a body swap horror movie. I am not joking. Oh my word. Like, he was showing the hyperfixation side of things because he got really into Ben 10. Like, really into Ben 10. Now, hyperfixation's a long way off the reservation. Now we're talking it's straight up autism. To add to that, he just bounces off the fucking walls pretty much at all times. He cannot remain still at all. He's jiggling, he's bouncing, he's up and down, he's running around, he's literally bouncing off the walls at some points. He was running into his sister, not quite full force, but just running into her and bouncing off, and running into her and bouncing off, and running into her and bouncing off. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? He doesn't know anything. If you ask him what he's doing, he has no clue what he's doing. If you he doesn't listen, he has completely lost the ability to listen to a single thing you say. You can relay a series of instructions to him, and you can go, did you hear me? Did you listen? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, what did I ask you to do? And he's like, I don't know. He is a different child. I said this evening, I was like, is there an option to get the vaccine taken out of the child to just see if it makes a difference? Because he's a different person. I kid you not. And what I will tell you is this. When I dropped him off in the morning, he was one person. And in the middle of the day, he went and had a vaccination. And then in the afternoon, he was a different person. And now, for a man who was on the fence about the subject, now I'm like, oh, I can see where the theory came from. Somebody was like, where's all this autism coming from? And then they took their child for a vaccination. And then the next day they were like, I think it could be the vaccine, maybe. Because what the fuck? And maybe I'd agree with you at this point, because complete body swap situation. He's a different person. He is a different person. Doubling back to my second day of fasting, I finally lost some fucking weight. This week, stepped on the scales and was pleasantly surprised to see a 2-pound loss between this week and last week. I was saying, in fact, I meant to look it up. It's the first loss in weight I've had in 5 weeks. It's the first loss of weight in 5 weeks. We're talking ounces difference, but put an ounce on, it's a gain. So, we're talking ounces. But yes, unfortunately, what that means, I'm sure you can imagine, is come Wednesday this week, probably going to be looking at another fasting situation. I, as always, having fasted yesterday, I was like, I'm not going to get too crazy today. I'm going to just have my lunch and I'll have my tea, and that'll be that. And I think we can all guess what happened there. I haven't watched a movie. I've got this list of films, to watch films, and I just don't get to them. I don't get to them. Me and Leanne, I'm like, oh, we're going to watch a movie on Friday. Yeah, we're going to watch a movie on Friday. Then we don't. However, I have watched 2 episodes of Watchmen. I think I might have said this. I thought I was watching the last episode at one point, but I wasn't. So I've watched episode 7 and episode 8. The TV series has taken a lot of liberties, and I do mean a lot of liberties. Some of them I've been like, yeah, that's fine. It's perfectly fine. And some of the stuff in the series is quite fanciful. It's like, I don't want to spoil anything, but there is a person on one of the moons of Jupiter. And they're like, oh, I'd like to come home back to Earth now. And a spaceship comes and takes them home. There you go. That's the sort of liberties the program takes. It has had a series of things where it's brought back characters from the movie obviously set years later, so there's a lot of wiggle room there. Jeremy Irons plays Ozymandias, and I don't mind Jeremy Irons. I got a bit of time for him. He played Alfred in the Justice League movie type things for a little while. I didn't mind it. Don't mind him as an actor. Don't think I feel like he's been too well cast for this role. Something's just not quite sitting right. So they've sort of taken a bit of a liberty there. One of the women that plays one of the characters from the movie is fine. I think she's all right. I kind of like her. Well, ultimately, I'm trying to beat around the bush to say that they have brought a certain character into it. Let's bear in mind, it is Watchmen after all. So to get this far, it's kind of surprising that we've made it this far. And a particular episode, like episode 8, was certainly an interesting one. It was just that, could we not? I thought they'd done really well to sort of, have some characters from the movie, but not all of them, sort of thing. And they've kind of blown that out of the water at this point. And I'm a bit like, I think you could have done this without that particular character, especially for the fact that, let's face it, they were going to have to change the character. So, not sure how I'm feeling. I'd like them to wrap it up quite nicely at the end. I don't know if it's going to, and I know that there isn't, and I don't think there's any plans for another series. So we'll see. I think I'm like halfway through the last episode, but I haven't finished it, so I didn't want to talk about it. On the other hand, me and Leon have watched Series 1 of Tulsa King. I already watched it, and I've already reviewed it. Having watched Penguin, Tulsa King does feel like Diet Penguin. There's a lot of similarities and some differences, and the differences are maybe the quality, I'd maybe say. Sort of dark and gritty versus light and airy, shall we say. Computer game wise, I finished a computer game. I know, I'm shocked too. I was playing Dead Island 2. I got stuck on a boss. I googled it. There was a lot of ways of cheating it, and I'm always like, yeah, but I don't want that to be the way to do it. And then I found a series of videos that was like, it is possible, you can just do it like this. And I was like, give it another go. Did it on my second attempt. So I was like, okay, cool. It did allude that boss was sort of heading towards the back end of the game. So I was like, okay, we're on the back 9. Not as much as I thought it might be, but it was definitely the back half, like I say, the back 9, and sort of carried on from there. No real sort of getting stuck elements. There was a couple of points towards the back end that I was a bit like, I don't like the feel of this. I don't mind a good zombie. They are not super scary to me. As such, and then every now and then you're like, "Bah!" When they're in your face, sort of thing. So there was a couple of like rather claustrophobic moments. There's a bit done in like an underground, like a underground train sort of situation, which got a little bit close. At times, after being in the underground section for quite a while, you start to feel a little claustrophobic. I don't necessarily have any form of claustrophobia, but after a while, you're like, we've been here a little too long. You're kind of craving the great outdoors, especially for a game that does have a lot of outdoors. However, I get to the end, what turns out to be the end, and there is a final boss, and it took me 2 days. and a series of different Googling and trying a series of different methods to find a method last night where I absolutely played it on point. I was like, I'm just going to do it and do it and do it and do it and do it. Made some changes to some of the sort of special abilities and things, changed some weapons around, and after, I would say, easily 30 attempts, if not more, like 50 attempts, I managed to beat the final boss of the game, and I finished Dead Island 2. Honestly, one of the most fun games I've played in a long time. Just here's the thing: you put a game on and you go, "Oh, this game's fun," and then it gives you something more, and you go, "Oh, that's really cool. I like that. That's fun." And you're playing it for a while, and you're like, "This game's a lot of fun." It reminds you how few games nowadays are actually fun. And then you just realise what a poor and sad state of affairs that is. And you're like, wow, that's depressing. It was a lot of fun. I finished it and it was like, oh, you finished it, but you haven't finished it. There's still a lot more to do. And I was like, there is, but not really for me. It's like, oh, you've unlocked New Game Plus, but we recommend that you are level 30 before you take on New Game Plus. And I was like, cool. I'm level 23. That's probably not anytime soon then. And I was like, I'm going to take a break from this. Speaking of games, I have played a newish game. I say newish because it turned out when I went to look at buying it, it turned out I already owned it, which is an embarrassing thing that's happened not once but twice this week. There's a game coming out this week called Crimson Desert. It's the first game of the year that I'm like, I might actually buy this game. But apparently, Crimson Desert is a sequel to an MMO. Not my cup of tea. An MMO called Black Desert. Turned out at some point in time it must have been my cup of tea because I already owned it. Now, I do wonder if I may have got it in a Humble Bundle at some point, but nevertheless, I owned it. It was in my Steam library. I looked at options to get it on the PlayStation. My options were pay some money. I was like, I'm good, thanks. I'm like, hey, if I'm going to play Crimson Desert, maybe I should have an idea. You know, an MMO, okay, but it's on Steam. I'm not going to have to pay for any multiplayer stuff, and I can see what it's like, and if it's too much for me, I can get out of there. I put it on, I got it loaded up. Me and my son were sat, and I was like, right, mate, we've got to pick a character. So all the characters came up, and the first character came up, and I had to cover my son's eyes when I went, oh my, that's a revealing outfit. And there was a good few characters to pick from, like starting characters. Obviously, you can make your changes to your characters and whatever. I clicked through quite a few of them and had to keep his eyes covered for the majority of it because, oh my, wow. It was when I went, okay, which is the best character? And the internet told me a series of characters that are a good start with. And one of them I clicked on and was like, wow, okay. So I've still got my son's eyes covered. I was like, I'm going to pick this character, matey. What do you think? He was like, Clicked it, and it went, oh, you need to sort out what you want, like what you want your character to look at. So it removed 90% of the clothing, and I went, she wasn't really wearing all that much anyway. Shit the bed. So I clicked through some options, went, I'm fine with her looking like that. Let's go. And away we went. Played the tutorial, and that was about it. The tutorial, super fun. I was really enjoying it. The only problem was I couldn't get it to accept my controller, even though everything told me my controller was usable with the game. However, I've had this problem before where you're supposed to be able to use a controller and you can't the first time, but then if you come out and go back in, it registers your controller the second time. So I need to go back to it. I'm not in a position to be buying computer games right now. Sort of waiting on the old payday, just for comfort reasons. So we will see if it's a case of do I have to plug away at this black desert and see what it has in store, or bite the bullet and actually purchase a game, break my own rules and buy a game in March, when I said I wasn't going to buy anything until at least June. But hey, the other game I've been playing, no surprises, Into the Radius 2. I built what I was referring to as a light backpack last night. I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weapons on the backpack, with ammo boxes for all of those weapons and clips for all of those weapons, apart from the one that didn't have a clip because it was a shotgun. And I had 2 handguns on my torso rig. So yeah, just a light pack for my next foray. I gave it a run out, but I didn't really get much of an opportunity to try out the weapons, but a lot of them are weapons I've used before. Just messing around, really. Like I've said previously, the game is modded to the absolute moon and back at this point in time, so I don't think it really represents the game, and it is more about just having a bit of fun. So yes, I believe there is due a story. Yeah, let's drop that on the floor. I believe a story is due at some point in time, but as to when that is, I don't know. And I presume that whatever update they do will wipe out all the mods anyway, so we'll see on that one. That's it. That's it for the week. I would say short and sweet, but anything under an hour, etc. Right. Thank you very much for watching, listening, and being here, and I'll catch you next time. So there we go. What do you think's that? Another one done. Another one gone. Big thank you for watching. Big thank you for listening. Big thank you for being here. Before you leave us, please do consider like, share, subscribe, and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. And check out the website, thecookiecast.com. There we have social media links and an email button. And that way you can get in touch with us. That's it for this one. Till next time, I'm going to say bye. And I'll see you then.
This has been another episode of CookieCast. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share and subscribe.